Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
The #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with contentatscale.ai.
So yeah, equals if open brackets VLOOKUP. No, don't worry, the talk's not going to be like that much. So yes, I'm going to talk about, what I'm really talking about is Google Sheets functions, because I find them terribly interesting. But I thought no one would come if I said I was giving a talk on that. So I'll be using keyword clustering as my example. I suddenly sound very loud. So after I told Kelvin I was going to do this, and he said yes, SEMrush brought out its keyword clustering tool, so that's handy. And then every bit of AI software under the planet announced that they could do it for you as well. But I think there's an advantage in knowing how to do it manually, not least because you can do it for free, and you can use free data like Google Search Console. So why would you want to cluster your keywords? Well, this is what I'm going to attempt to get to in this talk, using the electric scooter market as my example. So people search for scooters in all sorts of ways, and I wanted to gather together all the different search terms that are about what the law is and whether they're legal, what the question words are, how many people search for adults versus kids, and I wanted to find all the keywords and the search terms around those things. And then when I'd done it, I want to be able to interrogate it. I want to open up those groups and see what they are. And then all of this is done with a pivot table. If you don't know how pivot tables work, take my word for it, they're awesome. You can do them in Excel, and they just make interrogating your data and swapping it around incredibly easy. However, you need to have the data in a certain format for them to work, and this talk is basically about how to achieve that. The cool thing about this is, once I set this up, I redid this analysis for someone else, and it literally did only take me 2 minutes to redo it. If you try to do it manually, so imagine I went into SEMrush and I typed electric scooter in, and e-scooter with a space, because there's lots of ways of searching for them. And then I got 15,000 keywords across that had those 3 terms in. So I bunged them in a spreadsheet, and then I started categorizing them manually. Or actually, I thought about paying my son, who's like 15, and the minimum wage is £5.23 an hour if you're under 16, but it's quite cheap. But anyway, I worked out it would still have taken him 21 hours. It took him 5 seconds to think about each one and work out what it should be. And so if I started now, he would still be going at breakfast tomorrow. So that sounds a bit impractical. And of course, some things belong in multiple categories, like best adult electric scooter belongs in my best category, but it also belongs in my adult category. So we're going to start with a gentle combination, just sort and query. And query is magic. It means go and fetch. So I've got, whoa, that's the wrong button. I've got my data from SEMrush on 3 tabs, one called electric scooter, one called e-scooter, one called e-space scooter. And with query, you can say, hey, go and get the information from those 3 tabs and combine it. So that's all that middle bit in the colors does. It says go and get it. And then in each of those tabs, go and fetch the data that's in column A and column B. You can hopefully see that, but it says A2 because I want to start at row 2. If you start at row 1, you will pull in the header row from all 3 tabs, and then they'll get mixed in with your keywords, and chaos will result. The other important thing is that I can't use this. The other important thing is that they're separated by a semicolon. If you separate it by a comma, then query will organize the data into 3 sets of 2 columns. That's not what we want. If you separate them with semicolons, it'll put them in one giant set of columns for you. So that is how it works. And the second bit, where it says select asterisk where col2 is greater than 40, is quite a sort of powerful thing you can do with queries, where you can set criteria. So all this says is only bother bringing the data back from those other 3 tabs if the monthly search volume is greater than 40. You don't have to, you can put greater than 0, and that will bring it all back in without the blank cells. But I looked at the bottom, and it was full of rubbish. So anyway, I said only bring it in if it's bigger than 40. So, and then I've wrapped that whole thing in a sort. And sort is the Google function that says put things in order. So it says sort everything you're about to pull in, and then put it in order. And then the 2 there means sort it by column 2, so that's the search volume, and false on the ends means put it in descending order I have no idea why. True is ascending, false is descending. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. So I ended up in my spreadsheet with this. And you can see electric scooter and e-scooter mixed in together. So it's successfully pulled all the data in and combined it. So you could have done that with a copy and paste, but let's start with a gentle combination of some queries. So I'm going to make it a bit more complex now. We're now going to use an array formula and wrap it around a regex match, and we're going to classify all those keywords in one go. So there is a manual bit in this. So along the top, I've written down what I want all my category names to be based on what word I'm looking for. Now, I did actually cheat with this, and I used another function called unique to go and find out all the words, but I didn't have time to include that. So do it manually. You can see over here some of them are separated with a pipe. So I want to combine any search terms that contain women and ladies and any that contain kid or child, and I want them in the same category, and they're separated by a pipe because that is the regex command for or. So in a minute, it's going to go and look for any search terms with women or ladies in. You don't have to know any other regex in order to understand this. So that's why they're separated with a pipe. And then the formula I'm going to use is this one here. And then, so regex is a bit complicated, but this one's fairly simple. All it says is, have a look at the cell in A2, where it says electric scooter, and then if it contains the value in cell C1, where it says best, then pull in the number, 201,000. That seems fairly simple. Now, if I wanted to put that formula in all of the cells, I've got about 20 categories and whatever I've got, 15,000 search terms. It would take me, I'd have to do a giant copy and paste, and then what if I wanted to change it? It would be quite dull. So the easy way to do that is wrap it all in an array formula. And an array formula is just a way of saying, this function you're dealing with, I want you to apply it to a whole range. I don't think I've ever seen so many people take a photo of one of my slides before. What I forgot to mention is if I go all the way back here, there we go. If you go to this ridiculous URL, which I will I have now seen more people pick up their cameras and take a picture. And I haven't found the setting to change WordPress blog URL, so anyway, it's repeated at the end. But you will find the formulas there, so you don't have to write them all down. Anyway, where was I? This is so slick now. Yeah, so the array formula here says, instead of just looking in cell A2, we're going to look down the whole of column A, from A2 all the way to the bottom. And instead of looking in cell C1, we're going to look all the way in from column C to column R, because that's where I've got all the values. And then the thing it's going to return is the value in column B from B2 down. And then the array formula, it's very clever, works out that it should fill out this entire table where the search term contains the word at the top, it's going to fill in the value, and if not, it's going to leave it blank. So it looks like that. That's 59,000 cells checked. Now, what did happen when I did this is regex is quite sort of computationally expensive, so your computer may hang for 30 seconds. If you get that little warning that says, this web page is not responsive, kill or wait, just press wait a few times and it'll eventually finish. Anyway, I ended up with this giant table, 59,000 cells checked, only took 30 seconds. My son did not get 21 hours times £5.23. But that's not terribly useful. I mean, you could sort of data filter it, I suppose, and just see the ones with values, but it's still not terribly usable at this point. So now we get into the really complex stuff. We're going to use this formula, array formula, sort, split, flatten, and then a bunch of combinations of things, in order to turn that giant tabular array into this set of columns. And the reason we're going to do that is because a pivot table will only work if the data's in this format. It can't cope with the tabular version. So this is one formula. You don't need any of the interim steps I'm about to show you, but I'm going to show you them because otherwise you won't understand what's going on. So the array formula around this bit does this really weird thing where it takes my cell, which had lots of blank entries in and numbers in, and it fills every single cell in. I'm just going to go and point. Fills every single cell in. So this has got cheap in it and pure electric scooter. So there we are. Because the word cheap isn't in pure electric scooter, doesn't have a number in it. This one here, electric scooter for adults, it does have adult in, so it's pulled in the number. So I've gone from 59,000 cells, most of which are empty, So a very confusing, hot mess of data, but every single cell has got the combination of search term, category, and then, if relevant, the monthly search volume. So that's what the array formula bit does. And then flatten is this great function, which if you've got a whole two-dimensional set of data, it will just take the whole lot and shove it in a single column for you. So you end up with this. That's my 59,000 cells, all in one column wide, 59,000 deep. Still not terribly useful, I'm sure you can see. So now we're going to wrap that in sort and split. So split just says split the data back apart. Now, when I combined it in the array formula, I combined it with the @ symbol. It doesn't have to be the @ symbol. I once saw somebody use the aubergine emoji for their splits. I wouldn't recommend that, especially not if you're showing it to clients. But yeah, so just don't use something that's in your search terms. So don't use a letter, because it will all go wrong. Anyway, that then splits this not terribly useful thing back out into this. So now we have got 3 columns with the category in the first column, the search term in the second one, and the number of times that's searched a month in the third one. And so we end up with this. We've still got whatever we've got, 59,000 rows, but because we sorted it as well, all the ones we care about are at the top, and the ones we don't care about at the bottom. So we care about these ones because you can see, I've got one, there we are, UK, electric scooter UK. I've hidden the number, but take my word for it, there's a number there. Whereas all the ones at the bottom are these irrelevant ones. So this is a scooter brand, doesn't have the word cheap in, so there's no monthly search volume. Now, you could actually stop there. You could select all of that data at the top manually, and then you could make a pivot table with it, and you'd be done. But there's actually more we can do. So in particular, I don't really like it when the search terms are the same, but the words are in a different order, or they've just got stupid words like for in. So you can see electric scooter for adults in there. To me, that's the same search term as electric scooter adults, or adults electric scooter, it's just in a different order, and someone's gone to the effort of typing a word in. So what we're going to do now is nest 19 substitutes all round each other to really like overcomplicate our Google function. So it looks worse than it is. But essentially, you can substitute, and all that says is take this string of characters and replace it with this other one. So for a start, I wanted to get rid of all these different ways of calling things a scooter. So I've replaced e-scooter with scooter, and e-scooter's plural with scooter, etc. I've got rid of adults and replaced it with adult, and kids and replaced it with kids, so all the plurals get combined. And then I've got rid of all the words I don't want, like for and a and an, and replaced them as well. It's quite hard writing nested substitutes. It's very easy to get the brackets in the wrong place. The key thing when you do it is never have double brackets inside. If you have, you've cocked it up. But it also works with an array formula. So here is my original word. The array formula is in here, so it just looks down the entire column for me and replaces all of the words I don't want and changes all the words that I didn't like into the words that I did like. But we're still dealing with the same set of columns. So that's sort of cleaned the data up. And then we come on to a very complicated thing, which is join, transpose, sort, transpose, split, which is magic. And what that does is it gets the words in the search term in an individual cell and puts them in alphabetical order. So electric scooter adult and adult electric scooter become the same search term. It's quite complex to explain. So I've got 3 volunteers. Give them a big round of applause. So this is Anya, Jess, and Katie, who are standing in alphabetical order and need to not be. So quickly, don't stand in alphabetical order. There we go. A, K, J. So they're in one cell. So what the split does is it splits it on the space, so moves slightly apart. There we go. They end up in 3 different cells. Now, you can't alphabetically sort a row in Google Sheets, annoyingly, so you have to turn them into a column. So then you transpose them, which turns them into a column. So Anya, you come here. And then Jess, you stand in front of Katie. There we are. They're now a column. Just over that way a bit. There we go. And then we sort them. So can you arrange yourself in alphabetical order? No, Anya, you stay at the back there. There we go. And Katie and Jess, you swap. There we go. A, J, K, not how they started. Then we transpose them again, so we put them back as 3 separate cells. So can you stand in a row again? No, they see they've rearranged themselves there. Quick, swap places, you two. Kate and there we go. They're now in 3 separate cells in a row, and then finally we join them with a space, so they go back together slightly. There we go. They're back in a cell, but now they're in alphabetical order. Magic. Thank you very much. Big round of applause. I came up with that idea as I walked in here, and the stage manager didn't say no, but he was going to go and check with someone if it was allowed, but he never came back to me, so I assumed it was. Anyway, that's what that does. It splits the words into different cells, transposes them to get them from a row into a column, sorts the column into alphabetical order, puts them back into a row and squidges them back together. You don't have to see any of that. You don't need helper columns or spaces for it to expand in or anything like that, because it's just a combined function. It just does the whole thing and spits out the answer. So you can see that Scooter Law UK and Law Scooter UK become the same search term. And as you can see, they started out with the word on in, and I've stripped all that out. Yeah, so that is how you merge similar terms by alphabetizing them. And then the final thing you can do is make a pivot table. So we've ended up with this. After doing all of that, we've got the type, the original search term, the cleaned version where I took out all the words I didn't want, and then the final version, which is the putting everything into alphabetical order, and the monthly search volumes, which means you can now just select all that and make a pivot table. And as I say, pivot tables are magic. So the thing on the left, it just automatically adds up everything of the same type and shows you what the total is. And then on the right here, if you press the little plus thing, it automatically lists out all the things. Remember to use the correct column. If you don't use find or one of the other ones, you'll get the wrong set of data. But there we go. And if you turn this into a template, you can then just put different data into the 3 tabs. Maybe don't call them scooters if you're going to use it as a template. And you can just throw the data in there, and this will automatically spit itself out. You do have to manually set what you want the categories to be. If you want to find the formulas, they're there. And then there's lots of other things you can do with this. So, for instance, I use Google Sheets to scrape all the listings for the places my friend has come up with for New Year's Eve. And I've scraped all the pictures and how many things that people sleep, how many beds there are, and whether there's a swimming pool or not. None of them had a swimming pool. And put them in a Google Sheet using the import XML command. My daughter's GCSEs were organised by a spreadsheet, and then when she finished, a little GIF appeared with some fireworks automatically on the last day. It was great. But generally, whatever you want to do, if you want to automate it, there's a combination of functions that mean you can do it in Google Sheets. So yeah, and as I say, the thing I didn't include, if you take your search terms, split them out into a giant thing using split on the space, and then refer to that range and use the unique function, it will tell you give you all the unique words that are in your keywords. And then you can also use another function to count up how many times they appear. And so you can even automate the task of coming up with what the words along the top are by using another function. If you want to ask me any questions about that, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. I'm not on Twitter anymore. And if you want to find out about Google Functions, I recommend going to the official Google advice on the subject, and then go and Google some more, because it's usually quite complicated. There's usually somebody somewhere who's written an explanation of it. But yeah, so I hope you could follow all that. Thank you very much to my volunteers. Good to be back after 7 years. Hello, Brighton.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.